Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Ability Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today we have Christopher, and this guy's cool. I talked to him a long time ago for the first time, and we kept having to reschedule this and reschedule this. I was sick, and then he was sick, so I'm glad that we finally got together and made it happen. So, Christopher, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, Nick. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm a New York City native, founder of a nonprofit From Victim to Victor, in which I established to support victims of crime and service providers through philanthropy, education, and advocacy.
Awesome.
My nonprofit is basically my baby, my brainchild. Like, it's literally in like a odd sense. Like, I haven't done too much with it, but this year my goal is to really get it, kick it in the ass into high year. Excuse my French.
There you go.
Like, I really just wanna impact others.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I'm an advocate at heart. I consider advocacy as a core of who I am. And that stems from my own lived experiences. I identify as being neurodivergent and having multiple disabilities and also mental health struggles. So having to learn to advocate for myself started at a quite a young age, even as young as like school growing up as a kid. I would have to advocate to step out of the classroom, to go to the health office, because my symptoms were physically, like, really bad, causing me headaches and pain. So I just had to advocate from a young age, and that led me into doing some work in healthcare many years ago, and that further solidified my love and heart and passion for advocacy and directly supporting those who are marginalized and vulnerable.
Well, it's really amazing what you do. So thank you. And what made you want to start this, journey that you're on?
I myself am a survivor of gender-based violence, so I can understand firsthand how like how hard it is to be in a position where you feel vulnerable, you need help, you don't feel safe, but you don't know who you can trust, and you don't know how to exactly get the help you need. You're not feeling safe in certain situations to speak up and speak out. So getting to the point where I am now, not like I can just really understand, like I said, like the intricacies of being a survivor. And when I say survivor, that encompasses victim as well, since my firm belief is we're a survivor even when we could be identified as a victim. Like, you're a survivor at all phases, from victim to victor. You're a survivor, not ever a victim.
Yeah.
Basically.
I really like how you put that.
Thank you.
You're a survivor, not a victim. And I love people that have that outlook. Instead of the victim mentality, they look and go, okay, yes, I've been through a lot, but it makes me who I am, and it makes me stronger, and hopefully you learn from mistakes, so then down the road, you know how to avoid the circumstances that you were dealt and made you a quote unquote victim. You know what I mean?
Transparent. I've had a lot of mistakes in life, a lot of shame and guilt, and a lot of remorse. But hey, I'm where I am today for a reason. And the same with you and all of your listeners. Like, none of us would be where we are if it wasn't for not only good but negative experiences in our
Mhm.
upbringings.
So let's talk about advocacy. So sometimes it's very hard to advocate for yourself, depending on the circumstances, or you could just be scared to tell someone or don't know who to trust. What are some little things that you used to help yourself get through that?
That's a really great question, that means a lot that you ask that, because that truly identifies my with my mission and my passions and just calling in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start by saying, it's not always easy to advocate for yourself or others, which I think is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
But some things that help me effectively advocate for myself are like knowing what to expect before an encounter, especially in healthcare. Um, like taking care of yourself with getting rest, hydrating, excuse me, if you can before an appointment, and just knowing what's on your mind, having notes if possible, which I don't always do, but I try to. And just being able, if you're in a room at a medical office or in a waiting room and there's more than one staff member or clinician, a trick that I use, or I should say tactic rather than trick, is like I'll ground myself, like I'll focus on a specific individual who I feel safe and comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed and focus on dealing with them as opposed to everybody in my environment. Like medically, if I'm having an exam or a procedure, just focusing on one of the nurses or one of the techs, as opposed to just trying to talk to everybody, or, or, because that can be very overstimulating,
Yep.
especially when you're an old virgin like I am.
I was just gonna say that I know that when you're neurodivergent, it's hard to not get overwhelmed when you're around, a lot of people, especially people you don't know. It can be very difficult. And
That's one of the hardest things for me, is getting overstimulated in the medical setting.
yeah,
And I actually disassociate sometimes a little bit when I'm under stress medically, and even when I'm out and about in crowds, I disassociate.
yeah.
If I'm around like first responders, I disassociate because of my past traumas and negative lived experiences.
Now, what are some tricks or tips that you could give someone who does disassociate when they get overwhelmed? Is there anything that has helped you?
Yes, this actually happened when I was around first responders a few nights ago, but I was in a very good position because my good friend I was with, like, she's a mental health clinician
Mm-hmm.
by irony, or maybe not irony. Who knows? I feel like everybody in our life comes in for a reason and is meant to be. But like, she picked up on it, and I was very blessed because she was able to just kind of make me feel safe and comfortable, and like, we are on the same page. Like, we both have a trauma history, and like both have post traumatic stress. I want to say difficulties or struggles as opposed to challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm on my own, like, that's a really good question. I've never really thought of that. But I would say what I probably do, but even if I don't realize it, is, yeah, in fact, I have thought of something. Like, if I feel unsafe when I'm out and about, I often move. Though I'm sitting
Mm-hmm.
or I'm standing.
Yep.
And that helps mitigate the point of disassociating.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Awesome.
learned recently through my own inner work and through therapy that disassociating isn't always bad, that it's normal and healthy at times. And to
Mm-hmm.
put into perspective, I find it pretty fascinating that even listening to music is a form of disassociating. Just pretty
Yep.
interesting to say the least.
I feel like music is a huge like therapy for a lot of us. It's very therapeutic, and we can really, you know, ground ourselves with music.
It is. I had somebody recommend something called making a depression rescue playlist that you
Very
only
cool.
listen to when you're depressed. And the first song is one of the most saddest emotional songs, and it goes to the most happiest.
I like that. I like that because it's not about like feeling not depressed right away. You're playing a sad song first so you can feel your emotions and allow yourself to go through that. And because when we allow ourselves to feel and go through our emotions, that's actually how we recover and how we get out of that. So then you go from that, and then you go to a little happier song, and then a really happy song. And I think that's great. I actually think I'm gonna do that for myself.
Yeah, I really encourage you and those listening to really consider that.
Hmm.
And
I
just
like
like
that.
something that I recently learned about was the window of tolerance, like, which involves just letting yourself sit with your intense emotions
Hmm.
and and just identifying where in your body you feel them and how you feel them, as opposed to going right instead of going directly away from the emotions right away.
And hey, I I'm guilty of doing that often. A lot less nowadays, but I was always the type where I pushed it down, I put it to the side, I didn't deal with my emotions, and guess what happens? You can only push them down for so long, and then
Before you
e-
just have a breakdown.
they
Not you
erupt.
specifically, I just say you in the context of when I'm talking.
Yeah, yeah, they erupt like a volcano, and then you're like, oh crap, and then you really don't know what to do. So yeah, it's good to deal with your challenges and emotions when they happen, and basically grieve through them instead of just tossing them to the side. So I like that you brought that up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, victim to victor. What is your vision with that? Like, what do you want to accomplish?
Definitely would some short-term goals are to have our first annual gala
Ooh.
during the DVAM, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, this October, and to potentially have a more smaller scale fundraiser like this spring or summer, potentially. I would really love to qualify for Google AdWords grants so I can increase my bottom line through those grant funds, and at the same time, get my mission out there, get donations coming in. And I would really love to just be able to like tie it, my nonprofit in regards to personal branding to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
and just be able to support those who are in need. I have a vision of providing some form of scholarship
Mm-hmm.
to survivors and service providers. And one of the main things I would like to do once I get some funding coming in is outreach. Outreach, outreach, outreach. I can't say that
Yep.
enough.
Yep. Now, when it comes to outreach, you may have never thought about this, but I want to ask you, for your victim to Victor, if you could have a meeting with one person that could help you out, who would that be?
That's such a powerful question. I feel like that's not one to take lightly.
No,
So I just need a brief moment to
no worries.
conjure up a response that's really gonna position me best.
Yep,
You never know who's gonna listen to this or if they're gonna hear it.
exactly.
One person who I think could really be instrumental to connecting with in regards to my nonprofit would be I'm gonna really go all in. Michael J. Dowling. He's the president and CEO of Northwell Health, which is the largest public employer in New York State, healthcare system
Mm-hmm.
of 15 plus hospitals and countless medical practices, etc. And he's really one of my main idols. Him and some other folks. Him and us. Him and a specific former president are really some of my biggest idols, who I really just look up to.
Awesome. So, for anybody listening, if you know Michael, if you can get us in touch with him, please reach out to me or reach out to Christopher, because that would be really awesome to help Christopher as much as we can as a community and really help him make the impact that he wants to make on the world. So let's get that done.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Of course, of course. Now, how can people reach out to you? How can they find you?
I have a tap link URL, which I can provide to you,
Yeah.
and that has all my socials, and other websites and so forth. The nonprofit website does not appear to be active, but I'm currently relaunching the website. So once I get the content uploaded, that's gonna go live. And my cell phone as well, which folks can dial and text 718-883-0004. And also my email, which is my first initial, last name, CBIRSTLER @gmail.com. But with emailing me, I just request that folks make a very clear and direct subject line, since I do get a lot of emails and I would hate for something potentially vital to be missed by me.
Yep. I'm in the same boat as you. I get a ton of emails, and I don't know about you, but I'm so sick of checking emails.
Yeah, I do it a little bit compulsively sometimes.
Yeah,
I'll check my emails. I just can't take my fingers off my phone, checking my emails, going online, checking social media.
mm-hmm. So now what I do when I send an email, for the subject line, I'll type something out and I'll go, would that get my attention? Nope. So then I redo it and try to get a subject line that's all right, you gotta pay attention to that one. For my podcast guest, I send out the short form videos from this podcast. to all the guests. So sometimes I'll just put in the subject, "You're in these videos," because
Wow, that's so
yeah,
catchy.
people are like, "Wait, what?"
What? Like, I
So
gotta check this.
yeah,
The heck is
exactly.
this?
So it's really fun to play around with that and see what works and
Yeah,
what
copy
doesn't.
can be very fun to play around with copy.
Yeah, very fun, especially when you got AI tools. Like you can, write out a subject line and then go into Chat GPT and be like, "All right, make this like a catch," and it will. So that helps a lot. So
AI, that's just like so interesting on so many levels. And I don't know if it's good or bad in some situations.
I think it's good if you know, if you look at it the way I do. I use AI a lot. I don't look at it as a tool. I look at it more like an employee. AI can do, 80% of the work, but I still have to do the extra 20% to make it my own and make it, human and all that. So that's how I look at
And
it.
it is pretty human,
Oh, it
hence
can be,
AI, artificial intelligence.
yep,
It's gotta work to make sure it's as humanized and as aligning with us and our voice as possible. I
yep.
guess be a good way
I
to put
like
it.
one of my new products that I I offer is an AI answering service.
Right.
So this isn't like your typical AI machine. It's actually interactive, where you can ask it questions about me, about my business, all of that. And what's really cool is if you want to make an appointment with me and you call, that AI assistant will help you book an appointment. It's
Wow,
like
that's
so,
so cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I love it. And you can text it, it's just awesome. So
Like
that,
how accurate is it, and like how like basically is what I'm asking.
yeah, so for like what we do with our clients and ourselves is we actually program it specifically for that person. So like mine, it knows all about me. Like I give it like a whole story about me.
Hmm.
So if you call and just ask, "Hey, I want to learn more about Nick," it's gonna tell you like a whole little book full of
Now,
me.
I kind of have a bit of a offshoot question. Can that AI answering service be linked to and connected to your online presence, like searching Google and Wikipedia about the person?
Yeah, yep, yep. Because it can yes, yeah, it can search the web.
Yeah, and that can just I can see that being so powerful.
Yeah.
You can like somebody can have like a Wikipedia page or a Google
Mhm.
like whole file that when you search them on Google, the stuff comes up on them, and how that could be linked to the answering service.
Yep.
And there's so much like tying and drawing around that I can see connecting with something like this.
Yep. Everything that we do for our clients is all around. Well, not all around, but it's heavily focused on search engine optimization. So like all your stuff links together. So like my podcast links to my website. So anything that we talk about on here, if you Google Nick and Google something that we talked about, it's gonna pop up. Like it's so cool how you can tie everything together. And
It's not to learn,
I will say that it's a little overwhelming. I'm not really a tech guy,
I'm
but
not the most of a techie person either, to be
yeah,
honest.
that's why I have a team of tech people, and they do all that. So
Okay.
it's really cool. I love having a team. Having a good team really takes your business to the next level. It's so awesome. So, but Before we wrap this up, because we're getting down on time, I gotta ask you, as you know, my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you? This episode of the Infinite Abilities podcast is brought to you by the one and only Infinite Toolbox, where just like all other toolboxes, we will get the job done, guaranteed. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to save time, boost revenue, or automate your processes, Infinite Toolbox has got you covered. With powerful tools designed to drive leads, expand your reach, and gain your industry secrets, we help you work smarter, not harder. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Visit us at infinitetoolbox.com. That's infinitetoolbox.com, and discover how infinite your potential really is.
Then we can achieve pretty much anything that we set our hearts and minds to. That with the proper mindset and determination, almost anything is possible. And I say almost because I truly believe there are exceptions where things aren't feasible. Like with me, like I can't drive. I'm neurodivergent and I have some health issues. So driving just wouldn't be feasible and safe for me. And that's just an example of how not everything is possible for everybody, but most things are.
Yep. I like that, and it kind of reminds me of a saying that I live by. Don't say I can't. Instead, I say, how can I? So, like,
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
for your example of, you can't drive, I totally get that. You are right, but you can get a ride. So, therefore, you solved your problem.
Exactly. Again, take an Uber, save
Yeah,
money, save
exactly.
liability.
Yeah.
And it's not just that you can't do something and that you can do it differently. It's like thinking even deeper, like how can I make an impact through not being able to do something, and like how can I be innovative and resourceful and bring that impact over the line.
Yep, exactly. I love that. Well, Christopher, this was really amazing. I'm so glad that we did this.
It was. I'm so grateful we did it too.
All right. We will see you on the next one.
Awesome.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick to Your Heart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.